You know ID in the town all day. ID in the SEA. You know ID in the town all day. ID in the SEA.
Hello and welcome to a special episode of the fabulous Peltoncast, celebrating the highlights of our first 500 episodes. The fabulous Peltoncast began in September 2013, back when Climate Pledge was key arena. Steve Sarkisian was the football coach at the University of Washington, and the Seattle Seahawks had never won the Super Bowl. What the original version of the podcast lacked in audio quality, bear with us through those clips, it made up for in unearned confidence.
Hello and welcome to the inaugural edition of the fabulous Peltoncast. I'm Kevin Pelton, one of your co-hosts here, a NBA analyst for ESPN Insider and Seattle sports fan, and with me is my brother Tristan.
And that's Tristan Carcino. Not to be confused, I started as a Pelton and then became a Carcino when I was older. That sounds really weird. But anyway, Tristan Carcino, nay Pelton.
The important thing to note is he did not take his wife's name, as much as it seems like that happened.
It's very important to make that distinction. But anyway, I am the talent buyer at the Vera Project, and all I do is art and music venues. So I work in music during the day, but I'm very interested in sports, fantasy football in particular, but real football also. So anyway, we're going to be talking about Seattle sports, culture, things like that, mostly focused on Seattle, but then also fantasy football in the more general sense. We won't be talking about interesting TV programs because Kevin here does not watch any interesting TV programs.
Well, that depends on your definition of interesting.
Franklin and Bash. There might be a Franklin and Bash update every now and then. Is Franklin and Bash still on?
The season is over. There was a big cliffhanger at the end.
When did it end? When did it end?
Early August.
It's too bad that we weren't recording this to talk about the Franklin and Bash finale. I feel like special guests for the Franklin and Bash conversation because I refuse to watch that show ever in my entire life. But we will not be talking about Breaking Bad because Kevin has no interest in watching serialized television except for Franklin and Bash.
Or dramas, yes.
Anything interesting whatsoever.
So we're going to be recording this weekly is the plan. And the other thing you didn't mention, tailgating. I think just anything around sports culture and, what goes on a week-to-week basis. So that's kind of what you can expect from this podcast.
Tailgating, fancy beers, if we come upon them, burgers, rankings of vegetables, rankings of fruits, rankings of anything we possibly can rank, and have feelings about.
If you've read any of my chats on ESPN.com, pretty much anything that isn't related to basketball that I answer in those chats will probably come up in this podcast.
We're going to go out of our way not to talk about basketball, apparently.
It seems like I already talk about basketball a lot.
Our first emergency pod of what would become a Peltoncast staple came that December when Sarkisian left UW for USC.
Hello and welcome to an emergency edition of the fabulous Peltoncast. We had to call this even after recording last night because of the breaking news this morning that Steve Sarkisian is leaving the University of Washington to take the job as the head football coach at USC. So we're joined by special guest Chris Smith.
Yo.
And I'm your co-host, Kevin Pelton.
Yeah, we're here, and I'm Tristan Carcino. We're here at tailgating for the Seahawks-Saints game.
Kind of put a damper on things a little bit.
I think it's actually kind of exciting. And Chris is here tailgating with us, and we figured we'd get in a special one-off Coach Sarkcast.
So what's the first reaction to the news?
Jim Mora. Woo! That's my first reaction also.
I mean, are people surprised by this? I mean, it built this morning, but, I wrote about this on the blog already, but I went for a jog and Sark was the coach, and it seemed like, maybe something might happen in a couple of days. And then I come back and immediately the first thing I see on Twitter is people speculating about replacements. So that was fast.
It happened so abruptly where I read this morning that he'd interviewed with USC, and then I guess he denied interviewing.
Yeah, he said he talked to them but did not interview.
Yeah, that was on KJR this morning at I think a little before 7 a.m. So maybe he conducted the interview between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. and agreed to the job. That seems unlikely, though.
Well, I got the feeling after reading that when the report was that Chris Peterson had basically turned down the job at USC, and that they're also interviewing James Franklin from Vanderbilt, and that Coach Sark was the option. It felt pretty clear that if it was James Franklin and Steve Sarkisian, that it was going to be Coach Sark in that situation. And I kind of got the feeling throughout the day, throughout the morning when people were talking about it, I was like, Coach Sark is gone. I told that to you. And then he was gone.
Days later, we were excited when the Huskies hired longtime Boise State coach Chris Peterson as a replacement despite his lack of major conference experience. And then Robinson Cano also signed with the Mariners.
And we have a new head coach of the Washington Huskies.
Could not be more excited. Well, I probably could be more excited. But Chris Peterson signing on with the Huskies this morning, it was great news. I went to sleep last night. This is actually kind of similar to your Coach Sark leaving story. I went to sleep last night, and it was very late. And it seemed like a pretty big limbo for Chris Peterson. There were a lot of reports coming out of Idaho that he was not going to take the job. And then I woke up very early this morning at about 7 a.m. Chris Peterson is the head coach heat up.
Yeah, I got back to my hotel room. We're recording this via Skype because I'm down here in snowy Portland to watch the Blazers. But I got back to my
the I-5 edition of the Peltoncast.
It is. I got back to my hotel room a little after 11, and the first thing I saw on Twitter was something saying that, Peterson had turned down the job and that Nussmeier was going to be announced as the head coach this morning. And that turned out to be a fake tweet that someone retweeted. And by the time I scrolled back up through my timeline 5 minutes later, it was gone. So that was kind of weird, but, definitely went to bed not knowing what was going to happen. I woke up like 5:30 in the morning and saw at that point that the first indication Joe Schad of ESPN had reported that Peterson was going to take the job. Although I went back to sleep at that point thinking that talks between Robinson Cano and the Mariners had broken off.
Yeah, that was also pretty exciting. When I woke up, the early report was Chris Peterson, yes, Robinson Cano, no. And then it both happened. So this has been a pretty amazing day in Seattle sports.
The Peltoncast's first edition followed along as the Seahawks won the NFC Championship game, beating the rival San Francisco 49ers on the tip, with Richard Sherman assisting Malcolm Smith's game-clinching interception. Our first post-game emergency pod celebrated the win.
Hello and welcome to a very unique special episode of the Fabulous Peltoncast. I'm your co-host, Kevin Pelton.
I'm Tristan Carcino, and we've got a special guest with us here tonight. I might be slurring because we are in the alley between First Avenue and some train tracks after the Seahawks have advanced to the Super Bowl, and our special guest is
Christopher Smith, and that thing is the Port of Seattle, is what you were talking about.
Interesting.
That is the Port of Seattle.
I might say some incorrect things. Well, I just slurred there. Incorrect things. I have been drinking since 11 a.m., and I am holding a large bottle of...
Well, don't hold that up while the police car goes by.
Extra dry champagne.
Just be cool.
Relatively small bottle.
Be cool while the police car goes
Misdemeanor.
All right.
But we're going to... Okay, keep driving, please. Don't slow down. Oh, why are they stopping? They don't have to stop. We're just recording a podcast here. We're not driving anywhere. Okay, anyway, the police have actually stopped. But
they're moving.
Okay.
It's all right.
They're moving along. The police have moved along. Nobody's going to be arrested.
Probably be editing that out.
But let's talk about this football game. And, I think looking into this game, it honestly reminded me of the New Orleans game. Like, my prediction for the New Orleans game was that the Saints would be driving down the field. Obviously, the Saints have a more potent offense than the 49ers have. That they would be going down the field looking for a touchdown and not a field goal. That they would be looking for a touchdown. They would be down by 4, 5, 6, or 7.
It proved a huge difference because they had to go to the end zone, and that's what ended the game for them.
It really did.
So a couple things I was thinking about during that last drive. Number one...
panic.
Oh, yeah.
How much panic were you feeling? You know what?
Immense. Like, I saw it was over.
I have to say, honestly, I was really nervous that the 49ers would score a touchdown, but I was also very confident in the Legion of Boom.
So two things. Number one, Jason Jenks did a feature this week on Pete Carroll where he talked about a couple of situations. One where he was the head coach of the Jets, and then this year at St. Louis where his team had to make a goal line stand to win the game or they could lose it. And the team comes over to the sideline during a timeout, and he's like, guys, isn't this fun? Isn't this great? Which is a quintessential Pete Carroll. I wanted to talk about that during the game.
Tweet, isn't this fun? The last drive.
Pete Carroll's thinking this is fun,
everybody.
Love your opponent.
For the rest of us, it is the most excruciating thing possible to watch this.
I love Colin Kaepernick. Hey, this drive, I love you, Colin Kaepernick.
How much does Pete Carroll get paid?
A lot. A healthy amount.
At the end of the day, he's still getting a paycheck, and we're still spending our money.
That's a valid argument.
And getting our hearts broken.
But he also has the measure of control, he feels like, whereas it's kind of out of our hands, except for the noise you guys can make as the 12th man.
Okay.
The other thought I had was, this is post-game actually, is all the defensive players talked about how, dating back to last year in Atlanta, they were disappointed that they let down the offense in terms of allowing that final field goal that won that game. And their motto all season was, put us out there and we're not going to lose. And that was the case in the St. Louis game, and that was the case here.
And you know what? I think
the St. Louis game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree, and I think that's something that really played out through the whole season, where the defense last year, really, they showed very little at the end of the season, When the Falcons got the ball at 31 seconds and needed a field goal to win the game, we thought they were going to get it. I didn't feel very confident in the Seahawks defense. But this year, I did feel confident in the Seahawks defense.
The difference, last year, it was like wherever that we got last year was going to be satisfying just because we had no expectations.
That's true.
Yeah.
And this year, coming into this year, whoever says whatever, people are like, oh, Seahawks are going to go Super Bowl at this defense because we really turned it on at the end of last year. So now it's like we expect that Atlanta game last year. Nobody expected.
Yeah.
I didn't expect us to.
It was just all gravy.
And let's talk about that for a second, because I think that right now it's still a continuation of that game, honestly. It's an interesting thing because since that moment, it felt like this season, it's been the 2013-14 season since that moment.
Yeah.
When Matt Bryant hit that field goal, the 2013-14 season began.
Well, that's exactly how it's probably been in Russell Wilson's mind.
Exactly. And it's an interesting thing.
And the defense's mind, apparently.
For the defense, for Russell Wilson, for everybody involved.
2 weeks later, the Seahawks' Legion of Boom defense throttled Peyton Manning and the record-setting Denver Broncos offense in a 43-8 win that delivered Seattle its first Super Bowl and first major men's pro sports championship of our lifetimes, as well as making Renton the home of the Super Bowl 48 champions. We recapped it with our cousin Michael and friend Nick Walker.
I mean, what were people's impressions of the game, I guess, just to start off with?
Well, I think my general impression was I overrated the Denver Broncos. Really. And I was saying this to you, I felt like the Seahawks had about a 55% chance of victory. We'll talk a little bit more about Nostra Tristan later. But
of course we will.
I felt like the Seahawks had about a 55% chance of victory, and I said that on the podcast, but it actually kind of felt like more. During our discussion about it, I felt really confident in every aspect of the game, but I felt like there must be some way for the Broncos to break through this. I didn't know what it was going to be, but it felt like there had to be something, and there really wasn't.
I think the assumption was it would be Peyton Manning, and that was not it.
Well, actually, I think if I'm going to bring up my point of the game here is actually, I think we have to talk about the coin toss, because that's what really started everything off here.
Absolutely.
That was really something, I don't know if we've seen something like that before.
Joe Namath tries to toss the coin, and Terry McAuliffe comes in.
Yeah, yes, it's very true.
Macklemore-esque.
Yeah, you can set the scene. And Terry McAuliffe comes in and snatches it out of midair so that they won't see whether it's a weighted coin or not.
No, Broadway Joe.
It was a deft play by Terry McAuliffe.
Really quick thinking, quick on his feet.
Swooped right in there.
You know what? Made me feel good. It was not going to be a repeat of the Super Bowl that was canceled in 2006.
It almost makes me wonder, is that foreshadowing Malcolm Smith right there? The leaping in and show of things to come. So I think that's really where it all started off.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And just utter dominance in every way you can be dominant.
Offense, defense, special teams. Coin toss. Just complete dominance.
And the whole week leading up to this, I felt so confident for some reason. I was zero angst. I mean, comparing San Francisco angst to Super Bowl angst, it was not even remotely close. And I had no logical reason to feel that confident.
I feel like there was some nervousness leading right up towards game time.
Right around 1 p.m. is when I first started getting nervous. It wasn't like the previous 2 weeks where against the Saints, if we would have lost, you have to look at the positives and negatives, right? If we would have lost to the Saints, your season is over and you're maybe watching the 49ers go to the Super Bowl, right? Or if you lose to the 49ers, you're watching Jim Harbaugh celebrate going to the Super Bowl on your home field. But if you lose here, the downside isn't necessarily that high. You've lost to the best offense of all time, so that kind of negates some of your fear about it. But also, I think that we're just so much better than the Broncos. In every aspect of the game, we've been better than the Broncos
For 16 weeks out of the season, the Broncos have never faced anything like the Seahawks defense, and that's part of why I wasn't particularly nervous.
And a little bit of nerves were just evaporated and the little bit I had. Cam Chancellor laid that hit on first quarter, first over the middle, just blew up Thomas.
That really set the tone. I mean, you knew that that's what the Seahawks wanted to do, and it's absolutely worked out.
Not long after that, the Peltoncast went on hiatus, but we returned in October 2016, stronger than ever.
And we are back! It has been 3 long years, but we can finally take our fabulous Nostra Tristan and Kevin Damas hats out of storage.
Wow, you came in so hot there. First off, it's only been 2.5 years. It's like 2 years and 8 months if we're being technical.
3 long years.
But also, I wanted to quote someone we were going to talk about later in the podcast and say, and we back, and we back, and we back. I thought that would be the appropriate way to go.
Okay, that sounds good.
But you came in so hot over the top of it.
Yeah, whatever you were going to do. A lot more singing. Now that we're back, we're going to sing a lot more.
I think we've promised that, yes. So, welcome back to those of you who listened to the Fabulous Peltoncast during the fall and winter of 2013-14 when we last recorded. And to those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome.
I like that you're saying this as if it's multiple people.
Yes, to the person who is new to
the listener, welcome back.
Yeah. We appreciate it. Make yourself at home. We thought we should explain to those of you, I can't figure out how to singular that, who is new, what we're doing here.
Oh, it's a podcast.
It is. That's true.
Oh, do you need me to explain to you what a podcast is?
I think people have got it, because one of the big differences between now and when we last did a podcast is podcasts are so hot.
Are they?
Everyone has a podcast.
That's why we're doing one. Is because the market's not saturated at all.
Yeah, I mean, we really had our opportunity, I think, to like kind of own the Seattle sports podcast market in 2013. That is long gone now.
Yeah,
those days are past. But a little bit, I think, of background. So I feel like I need to go with the Troy McClure here. You may know me from such websites as I write about the NBA and sometimes college basketball for ESPN Insider. Formerly wrote for Basketball Prospectus, and then also locally covered the Sonics for their team website before they moved to Oklahoma City, and the WNBA Seattle Storm for their team website.
Wow, you went through a lot of stats.
I did.
You're a stats guy.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
It does. Your credentials for talking about sports are?
None.
Yeah.
Knowing you.
That's pretty much it.
Your credentials for talking about sports are...
we're brothers.
The dichotomy is,
we
right?
Should explain that.
We're brothers. We don't have the same last name. I changed my last name. It's confusing.
It is.
Right.
But it's not. We don't call it the Peltoncast just because of my giant ego. It is because it is the name that we did previously share.
The fabulous part is because of your giant
That
ego.
is true. That is true.
But the relationship is you work in sports, right?
Yes.
I've been told. Not a fan personally.
Well, you don't subscribe to ESPN Insiders. You have no idea.
I'm still promised a subscription by your mom. Still waiting on that one. You Peltons have been letting me down a lot. And then I work in music, right?
Yes.
Continuing the long lineage of brothers, one who works in sports and one who works in music, of the Divine Brothers.
Yes. It's basically the two of us. That's it.
And so I work at a booking agency called the Billions Corporation. Previously was the talent buyer for a music venue in Seattle called the Vera Project, which I was at earlier tonight.
There you go. But this is basically the conversations that we were already having throughout our life. Mm-hmm. And we just decided to record them for everyone else to hear.
Because we thought they were so interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, the arrogance. With maybe a little bit more statistical preparation. And, I think if you're someone who's looking for in-depth analysis of a specific team, this is not the right podcast for you.
You have to tell people to turn it off right now.
Yeah, especially if that team is the Mariners or the Sounders. Like, we're not going to have expert-level analysis of those two teams.
But if you love hydroplane racing...
That's true. That is...
Or the Seattle Storm, women's basketball in general, you might be the world's foremost expert on women's basketball.
Not the world's foremost, but certainly on a Seattle sports podcast.
What about hydroplane racing?
There are other people who are bigger experts. Again, I just don't think that's really translated to the podcast market per se.
Okay. So anyway, if you like women's basketball and hydroplane racing, this is the podcast for you.
Are you in luck? Are you ever? There's like one other person who likes that combination of two things.
Who's that? The listener.
Yeah.
But beyond that, right, we're going to touch on things like basically all of the Seattle sports, whatever's in vogue at the time, right? Mostly the Seahawks, Husky football, Husky basketball, a little bit of Blazers, completely randomly some Italian soccer.
Are we going to keep doing that?
Yeah,
I
of
wasn't sure
course.
whether we're going to keep doing Italian soccer. The Sounders will certainly come up, even though, like I said, it's maybe not our foremost area of expertise. It's still an interest. And I think the other thing that's going to distinguish us is that there will be a heavy statistical element to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just us reading lists of statistics most of the time.
Yeah, that's why it's a good podcast.
But no, we'll use Football Outsiders DVOA, Football Power Index on ESPN for college football, Ken Pomeroy's metrics when we get to college basketball season, and try to talk about things probabilistically instead of just, well, are they going to win or are they going to lose?
Mm-hmm. So the things that get really good ratings and a lot of listeners, black and white, are they going to win? Are they going to lose? And we're trying to steer away from that.
As far away as possible.
But also beyond that, right? Any of the things that are non-sports is whatever we're interested in at that time. At various times, that might be trying to find the best cookie in Seattle.
Yep. Food.
It might be me trying to convince you to try all of the best burgers in Seattle and you not being interested in that.
It might be a fun thing to do.
It might be coming up with classic food sneaks in the city of Portland. Also, really a lot of Portland food recommendations.
Yes.
We don't have Portland food recommendations than you could possibly imagine.
We don't have time for that today, unfortunately.
I know I want to talk about food so bad. You know, I went to Sunset Fried Chicken for the first time.
I did not know that.
We can't talk about this, though.
Yeah, we'll save that for next week.
There's too much to talk about.
And then also craft beer.
And then craft beer. So speaking of craft, is that good? Do we feel good?
Well, we didn't mention...
Have we reintroduced ourselves?
Well, our name is Hove. We didn't mention culture, the occasional TV shows. Strictly you talking about prestige TV.
Oh, yeah. And you talking about Franklin and Bash.
Yes.
I think we talked about this in the first ever episode, like four or 5 years ago when the first episode happened.
Yeah, but the audio quality was so bad, the listener couldn't
nobody
even
could
tell. And then music, which we will be discussing later in this very episode.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we've been reintroduced.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Peltoncast wasn't there for the canceled ending of Super Bowl 49, but we traced the decline of the Pete Carroll era, including the shocking decision to trade Russell Wilson in March 2022. Tristan, in particular, had thoughts. And the podcast we hoped we'd never have to record was here. The Seahawks have traded Russell Wilson. Why are you laughing? It's not a time for mirth.
It's a response to being uncomfortable.
So I was on the exercise bike a few minutes ago, and I had gotten a couple of chats, and it was like loud notification, because usually I set my phone on something else to kind of muffle the notification, but I can't on the bike. So I put my Google Chat on Do Not Disturb for the next 30 minutes, and therefore did not see any of your texts. And it was only when I was watching something on Hulu, and I clicked out of there, and I've got it on ESPN by default, and immediately the Chiron comes up with Russell Wilson traded to the Broncos. And that's how I found out.
Just a fucking random Tuesday morning in March. How did this happen?
Well,
Like-
we know how it happened. Aaron Rodgers happened.
Why is that? Okay, and we'll get there. We'll get there. This is the second worst day in my entire life as a sports fan. This is a worse day than Super Bowl 49. This is a worse
100%.
day than Game 5, Dikembe on the floor. This is it. This is the second worst day. And it feels shockingly similar to the worst day. Granted, football will still be played. There'll be more players. The worst thing that you could do as a sports fan is take yourself off the table. And that's what obviously happened for the Sonics when they moved. They took themselves off the table completely. They didn't. Or I suppose the current ownership at the time did. The league took them off the table completely. They ended basketball, professional basketball, in the city of men's professional basketball in the city of Seattle. And we still have not recovered from that. And it has been 12 years.
It's coming up on 14.
14 years. It has been the longest 14 years that we've ever had as basketball fans. And the Seattle Seahawks today, by trading Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos for this fucking package of all packages, took themselves off the table. And this is something that is going to be felt throughout the Seahawks organization probably for 14 years or more. They will still play football tomorrow. They will still have a season.
They won't play football tomorrow. It's March.
Figuratively speaking. They will still be playing football games, but this is it as far as them being a relevant, competitive NFL franchise. It's done. The roster is not there. This was Russell Wilson's roster, and it is the worst trade in NFL history.
It's not worse than the Cowboys, the trade they made with Herschel Walker. What, he went to the Vikings, right? That was still a worse trade. I mean, my first thought was something that Bill Barnwell had alluded to a couple of years ago, talking about the Mookie Betts trade. There was a Bill James quote after, I believe it was the A's at that point, one of the many times, had traded Ricky Henderson. And his quote was, "Did they get a fair price for Ricky Henderson? It's kind of like if you're an art collector and you have the Mona Lisa, what's a fair price for it? The idea in building a championship team is to acquire players like Ricky Henderson. It's a sad day when you have to give one away." And I mean, look, I am the person who does trade grades. I'm the person who says if you got a fair price for the Mona Lisa. So I get it. But
wow, what is your trade grade of this grade?
I mean, it may work out for the Seahawks. They did
How?
assure themselves at least one good draft pick out of this. And they got a variety of players from the Broncos. So that's something. I mean, it's still at best a D plus, C minus, somewhere in that range.
I get the feeling the Commanders would have been at a yes, because you know what? They've seen the quarterbacks that they've had, right? They've looked around. All these other teams who want to trade you all these picks, those are you in the future. They have seen your future.
It's a ghost of Seahawks future.
Right? There's a reason that you're not really that excited about trading three first-round picks for a quarterback. It's because you had Russell Wilson, but you just fucking gave up Russell Wilson. So if there are that many teams that are out there exciting to trade 2 and 3 first-round picks for a quarterback, it means it's an important thing to have.
I still think we should pivot to being Broncos fans.
And whatever will spite Pete Carroll and John Schneider the most.
I don't know that they listen to this podcast.
But you understand what I'm saying. The way that I felt about Richard Sherman when he left the team is the same way that I feel about Russell Wilson. I'm still going to be a fan of Russell Wilson, right? Like, love Russell Wilson more than any other football player ever, right? He came at the exact right time in our lives when it was like the right age to really like fall in love with an athlete, the right team. Everything that they did was so exciting. I fucking personally hate Pete Carroll and John Schneider on a deep personal level. They have made my life worse now by doing this. It is not, there's no happy, rosy feelings. They lucked into a secondary, and they lucked into a defense, and they lucked into Russell Wilson.
Seahawks GM John Schneider started to win us back a year later when the Seahawks drafted 2 future cornerstones in the first round of the NFL draft, including our favorite prospect.
When literally every pick that's happening, you're just waiting and you're like, not Jackson Smith and Jibba, please no. And they keep going by, and all of a sudden that Seahawks pick is getting closer and closer. And you're like, there's only 2 more players left. And you get there. It's finally the 20th pick, listening to I had the ESPN broadcast in my ears while I was at baseball, of course. And you're listening to the broadcast. They're talking about the Seahawks need to stop the run. It's like, well, they picked up Jaron Reed, not the tight end. They picked up Jaron Reed and Dre Jones and Bobby Wagner. And you're kind of like, how much of a need is this actually, right? But it felt like the broadcast was building toward, everybody knows something. I'm sure that the internet knows what's going on. And I think a lot of times that the broadcast is like teasing what the internet already knows. I'm trying not to pay attention. And I'm just like, they're like, oh yeah, also maybe wide receiver. Not a lot of wide receiver depth after DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I'm just like, please God. And finally, I'm like stressed. My heart is pounding when this pick has come. I was more nervous about this pick than I was about the 5th pick, because the 5th pick was kind of gravy. Like, whomever it was, aside from maybe 2 or 3 players they could have taken, I'm fine with whomever, right? If it would have been Tyree Wilson, that's okay. We knew they were going to be drafting Bijan Robinson. But if it would have been Jalen Carter, they were not drafting Bijan Robinson. Okay. If it would have been Jalen Carter, if it would have been Tyree Wilson, I'm like, I'm fine. I am good with whatever they want to do here. This pick, I was not good with whatever they wanted to do there. I'm like preparing myself for whomever else they're going to draft. And I'm like, okay, Mazzy Smith, sure, fine, whatever. And as the pick is coming in, it gets announced Jackson and Jigba, and I'm screaming in the car for the first time, I think, in maybe Seahawks history. In the first round, have they taken the player, Trufant, maybe? Like, it has been really, really rare. I was like, this is the guy who I want the Seahawks to draft, and the pick freaking comes in. We are screaming for Jackson Smith and Jigba as it is happening. It is incredible, baby. Let's freaking go.
I mean, Charles Cross is who we wanted the Seahawks to draft
but it's
last
different.
year.
It was like, if it's Charles Cross, great. If it's somebody else, fine. Like, I'm not going to be yelling about Charles Cross being selected. It's
just not as exciting to pick a left tackle as it is a wide receiver. And it was the shock that he was out there. And look, this is part of why, and granted, I don't know as much as the Seahawks about what everyone else in the league is thinking. Obviously, this is the me as a GM problem. I was ready to trade up, starting at pick 17. Like, I saw what it took to get from 17 to 14 for the Steelers to trade up with the Patriots, and
is
I
that
was
a fourth
like,
rounder?
I think so. And I went and did the math. I put this in our group chat that, like, if you took the Seahawks 3rd round pick and 20 and traded it for 17 and the 4th round pick the Patriots had, it would have been basically an exact match on the Jimmy Johnson trade chart. And that would have been fine to me to assure you got Jackson Smith and Jigba, but everything played out perfectly for him to still be on the board. I thought Mina pump faked me because she tweeted something about it's Smith because of the fact that I guess that Nolan Smith was at the top of her draft board at 20,
and it was Smith.
It was Smith, but also in Jigba. He was second on my draft board. I would have been totally fine if they would have taken Nolan Smith. Like, it would have made sense to me.
Another one you have a draft board.
It's not like it's just
like a running draft board of like, okay, here's who I'd like next in your head.
Yeah. It's like my draft board didn't include Bryce Young because I just knew the Seahawks were not going to have a chance to draft Bryce Young. So I took him off my mental draft. And we found out that he lasted a considerable amount longer before going at pick 30 to the Eagles. But like, I was already like preparing the notes about Nolan Smith, and I was like, okay, it makes sense. He's 4th in the ESPN analytics sack projections, so on and so forth. And then I see in our group chat that it is Smith and Jigba, and that's when I had that celebration.
Let's freaking go.
So number 9 on Danny Kelly's big board. The Seahawks got 2 of his top 10. They got 2 of PFF's top 10. I mean, obviously, you have a better chance of getting one of the top 10 if you pick number 5, but getting one of them at 20 is pretty awesome. Less than 3 years later, Witherspoon and Smith and Jigba played key roles as the Seahawks returned to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2015.
I'm telling you, Mike McDonald in year 2. Do you remember when this happened, when Sean McVay did the same thing to Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
It goes fast. It goes fast, even if you're under 40 as a head coach.
Anyways, I don't think it's actually about like crushing dynasties. What it is about like avenging the teams that have been beaten up on the Seahawks in the past. And it has been the most fitting run of opponents you could possibly have in the playoffs to have the 2 division rivals, the 49ers and the Rams, who owned the Seahawks at the end of the Pete Carroll era. And now to have it be the Patriots, to finally get a Super Bowl against the Patriots played to its conclusion.
Yes.
Instead of canceled.
No, we can acknowledge the last one now.
Not
after this
not,
one.
Not unless they win.
I was thinking about how we talked about the CJ Prosise game, right? Where it was like, that was redemption. We feel better about this. And it was like, bitch, that was a regular season game. Who cares? Right? But it felt good at the time. This is the moment.
It actually felt good at the time, more because of the particular month in which it was played than the Super Bowl, I would say. So,
but there was an element of that, right? It was like the Huskies beating Michigan. It's just like, well, you beat Davis Warren. You really showed Alex Orgy.
I mean, it still was all the same players on the Patriots. It just was not as important a game. I don't know that comparison quite holds up.
But what does hold up is they've found themselves back in a Super Bowl, right? And so have the Seahawks, and a chance to go back and undo what was wronged years ago, and be in the situation to beat those Patriots again, it'll feel very, very good. And I wouldn't pick any other team since that team that the Seahawks had to go into the Super Bowl with, right?
Oh,
that I would
yeah,
have
of
more
course.
confidence than this team right now, this coaching staff right now, the roster incomplete. Like, it is the team that I would pick to be going forward into the situation, because they have slayed a couple of these dragons so far, right? They have gone back in time and won these games, and they have defeated the Niners. They've defeated the Rams, and now we've got the Patriots waiting. It feels very, very good.
Alas, Super Bowl 60 came just after our first 500 episodes. You'll have to wait for number 1,000 to find out how it ended. UW football charted its own series of rises and falls in the Peltoncast era. In particular, we watched with interest in the fall of 2021 as former UW backup quarterback Jake Haener developed into a star at Fresno State.
You know who else is being a goldfish?
Who's that?
Me.
You're forgetting the previous weeks?
About this, we're going back to the UW football team for 1 second.
Okay.
Because I'm like a goldfish for this entire last UW season. And the amount that this Kalen DeBoer hire, like, I was excited about Kalen DeBoer on his own and what he would do with the program. But you take Kalen DeBoer and you throw in just a little mixture of Jake Haener. Like,
kid has not committed.
That right there is like the East. That we're all going to rise now with these two together. Right? Like, I'm telling you, I said that thing about LSU with Joe Burrow. And you want to know what the scary thing is?
You're serious?
I believe it.
Oh, no. Don't get hurt again. You know the curse is still in effect.
Fuck your curse. Curse is ended, baby.
Fuck your curse, Joe Boo.
The Seahawks won a game. All it took, a single win. This is the curse is overcast. Look, Gonzaga lost. What hasn't gone right in the world of sports?
Portland Timbers.
Whatever. Who cares? Ultimately, that's a good thing for UW.
Wait, is it?
For the Sounders. I mean, every year after the Timbers win MLS Cup, the Sounders win MLS Cup.
That is true. We can't argue with that logic. Only to have our hopes dashed the next week when Haener decided to stay at Fresno State because he wasn't certain the NCAA would approve a second transfer. Unable to secure their first choice, the Huskies settled for another former DeBoer pupil, Indiana transfer Michael Penix Jr. Let's move on to Husky football, where, as you mentioned earlier, the week's big news is that Jake Haener is not coming back to UW.
Kraken!
What has this curse taken from us?
Not only did this curse take Jake Haener from us, right when you started talking about it, my computer crashed for like 20 minutes. So I didn't even have a chance to get all worked up about it. I got all, you brought up Jake Haener to me, and then I had to wait while I was doing updates or whatever. But like, I just, honestly, the person who should be taking a victory lap here, and I hate to give this person credit for anything. It is my least favorite thing to do on earth, is to give this person credit for anything at all. Any capacity, no matter what they do, no matter what they say. And that person is you. I mean, you said it right away. You looked a fool for a second, but you said it right away in the Kalen DeBoer emergency podcast that it would be difficult for Jake Haener to transfer back to the University of Washington.
I talked to the listener, Damon, about this earlier this evening. He says hello.
Hi, Damon.
Maybe hello to the other listeners as well.
Keep it going with the Nate and Danny memes. Never stop.
Good news, he won't.
There was one that was, the Aaron Sorkin doesn't have social media and he asked me to post this.
I didn't see that one. I got to check that out.
They're always perfect. There's never been a time where I'm like, no more Nate and Danny memes. 100% of the time, it's what I'm looking for.
And he brought this up as well. He mentioned that I have untapped legal talent, which that was my aspiration when I started college. I was anticipating becoming a lawyer. This whole podcaster thing remains a lark.
I think how horrible your life would have been if you were a lawyer.
No, I definitely would not be able to. I would not be functionally retired at this age.
I went into college wanting to be a music journalist. Oof, dark timeline.
Wow. You narrowly avoided that. Anyways, so it does seem that to some extent, Jake Haener and Kalen DeBoer and a bunch of other people clearly misread the likelihood of him getting a waiver and being automatically eligible. It's tough to say how much that interacted with the fact that Fresno State hired Jeff Tedford, brought him back as head coach, and Haener feeling like, okay, I'm going back to the coach that I originally transferred to play for.
Really, it's all always full circle with Jake Haener, no matter
one
what
way
capacity. Yeah, it's like a never-ending circle that no matter which direct. I guess all circles are never ending. It's like two circles that are connected to each other that are never ending. I just invented an 8.
The Venn diagrams are just one circle. Jake Haener.
Two circles of Jake Haener's life stacked on top of each other that also intersect. It's the shape that's never been seen before.
It's tough to know how much to blame the NCAA here, I guess is what I'm saying.
Blame the NCAA? It's always 100% chance to blame the NCAA. That's always what you should be doing.
They're a much easier target, certainly, than Jake Haener just wanting to play for Jeff Tedford.
I think the reality is both of those things are true. Is if Jake Haener would have known 100% that he was going to get that waiver, he probably would have already announced UW. And
he said in his video he was intending to come to UW. Like, he completely acknowledged that.
At the same time, even if maybe he would have preferred to have come back to UW and to play with Kalen DeBoer, the complications about the waiver plus Jeff Tedford ultimately outweighed that.
It's not a bad outcome for him to stay at Fresno State and play for Jeff Tedford.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
All right.
Is it a bad outcome for the University of Washington that this happened? Or is there a silver lining?
Well, are you looking for me to rationalize? Because let me tell you,
I'm going to go get another drink. I'll take your answer offline.
Like I do. So we talked about this last week. Michael Penix Jr., another Kalen DeBoer quarterback who he coached in 1 year at Indiana in 2019, had a higher QBR that season by far than Jake Haener had last season when you adjust for his strength of the competition that they faced. He has also entered his name in the transfer portal in the same situation where he would have just 1 year of eligibility. Now, he is a first-time transfer, so he would be automatically eligible next season, wouldn't have to go through the waiver process like Haener would have had to. So if he chooses UW, then that may be a better outcome for UW than Jake Haener coming back, even though it's not a Jake playing quarterback for UW, which is still the best outcome.
And let the rationalization games begin.
Penix led UW to the college football playoff by beating Oregon to win the final league championship as members of the Pac-12. This is the biggest Husky win in 30 years. I mean, we talked about it after the first UW Oregon game. Everything that was at stake in that one. And then kind of by the fact that both of the teams went undefeated after that and the way everything else played out, the first game almost didn't matter because this was the semifinal to the semifinals of the college football playoff. The winner was in. It was extremely unlikely the Huskies were going to get in with a loss, even at 12-1. Everything was on the line between these two historic rivals. The last time they are meeting in the Pac-12, obviously there will be many more games to come in the Big Ten. Heisman,
I will tell you.
I guarantee you, Bo Nix is not winning the Heisman.
Let's look at
I'll
some
tell you that
stats in a
much.
second between these two quarterbacks because I think Michael Penix played himself back into the Heisman conversation. He is back on that podium, no doubt about it at this point. I think there was a question for a second whether he would be there.
He was on the podium.
He's on the podium now, and I don't think he's last. So we will see. But I also know that Jaden Daniels, when we're having this conversation, Jaden Daniels is not playing in games like this. Jaden Daniels is done playing for the year. And
but they sure does have a lot of billboards.
Oh, in Kent, Washington.
Kent, Washington. They put one in Vegas, too.
Oh, there we go. I love the idea, the galaxy brain idea that billboards matter.
Well, guess who invented the billboards?
Oregon?
Yeah.
And they have, as many national championships are in their name. They've got a Heisman.
They do have a Heisman.
That's nice. Those don't count for anything, though. So sad.
Multiple Heismans, actually.
Huskies still looking for their first, and he may have won it earlier today. The team is now 13-0, the best record in Washington Husky history, excluding Nobody, excluding no team dating back to what year? 18, whatever, 19.
I believe 1890.
We are talking about
maybe 1889.
hundreds of years of Washington Husky history. This is, records-wise, the best team. And to do it with the collision course at the end, right? These two titans of the Northwest, of the Pac-12, going to the Big Ten. We knew that this game was coming for a long time. Until it was official, before it was official, we knew that this game was coming. We knew what the Huskies were going to have to go through. They were going to have to prove it. They won once. They were going to have to prove it on a neutral site.
At home at the end.
And they went down to Las Vegas against an Oregon team that people were slathering themselves over, right? They could not be more excited about this Oregon team. And it goes to show that maybe, just maybe, how badly you beat Colorado, how badly you beat Arizona State doesn't fucking matter. Because this UW defense stood up in a lot of great moments. There were so many more punts in this game than you would have anticipated. This UW offense, who struggled against Oregon State, who struggled against Washington State, they said, we're not afraid of Oregon at all because we know that we own this Oregon team and are now 3-0, and we get to go into this weekend. This is my favorite part about it. We get to go into this weekend. We get to go into the next month. That's why this shit is great. Knowing that we're going to be called 1, 2, or 3 in the college football playoff rankings. Everything's on the table at this point. It'll be the highest the Huskies have ever been in the college football playoff. And we get a month to prepare for this in the best possible way. We don't have to stress about next week. We get 1 month to know, to bathe in the victory.
To luxuriate in being unbeaten.
Luxuriate in being unbeaten, and also our second victory against Oregon in the season. They are now Pac-12 champions literally forever. They are the last Pac-12 champion. They are the best Pac-12 champion, indisputably. They are the best Pac-12 champion of all time, and they will have that title for the rest of time. It is a beautiful thing. You have to give it up to so many different players, but ultimately, it comes down to something that I read on a t-shirt last week. Michael fucking Penix. If you don't bleed purple and gold, get your bitch ass out of here. And I couldn't have said it any better than that t-shirt said it. That's where we're at right now with this Husky team. We should enjoy it for the time being. We'll talk about the playoff in a second, but also we're going to go into this playoffs with a real chance to feel like we have a chance to win. We've just beaten the best one-loss team twice. Everybody says it. Statistics, your little FPI that I know that you pray over every night, they love Oregon, right? They love Oregon. UW has beaten them twice and on a neutral site. Show me something like that at any other team in the country.
Days after Washington lost the college football playoff championship game to the Michigan Wolverines, DeBoer shocked us by accepting the Alabama job as Nick Saban's replacement. Something I've been reflecting on a lot lately with the Huskies football program in particular is the parable of the Chinese farmer, where various gooder things happen and, people reflect on the luck and the farmer says, maybe so. And that's how I feel about the UW football program in the last 4 years, because it's like Jimmy Lake is fired mid-season unceremoniously. The team goes 4-8. What terrible luck for the Huskies. Maybe so. They hire Kalen DeBoer. Jake Hayner is all set to transfer here. Doesn't think he's going to get approved for the second transfer, which now the NCAA has completely made legal in all cases. Doesn't come. What a huge crushing disappointment. We make a verb out of it. Haynering. Was that bad luck? Maybe so. Michael Penix Jr. comes instead, wins the Heisman. The Huskies go to the college.
I like the revisionist history of him winning the Heisman.
I'm sorry.
On this podcast, he won it. Thank you.
Yes, good. Fair point.
They're Mexi Fries and Michael Penix Jr. won the Heisman.
I'm still not comfortable with that term. I just don't think tater fries was the right replacement. The Huskies go 14-0. Go to the college football playoff championship. What amazing fortune. Maybe so. It happens to be the year that Nick Saban decides to retire at Alabama. And, I don't think that DeBoer was going to get the Michigan job, assuming Harbaugh left that. This was the one job out there that was the reason that he was waiting to sign this contract extension. And so the timing of when the Huskies had their best season since 1991 does at this point look like terrible luck, but who knows what we're going to be saying about it in 5 or 10 years.
Yep, totally agree. And that's kind of all I thought about as well. Like, it just the shortness of Kalen DeBoer's tenure at UW reminds you of how quick these things can happen. That Kalen DeBoer can go from a guy coaching at Fresno State to coaching fucking Alabama in 2 years.
A guy offensive coordinator at Fresno State in 2018, within 6 years, from offensive coordinator at Fresno State to head coach at Alabama. Like, that's got to be unprecedented in the history of major college football. Most of the Peltoncast era, UW has made us wonder, why do we even watch men's college basketball? But there were a few brief highlights, including our first ever men's basketball postgame emergency pod. Anytime the Huskies beat a top 10 opponent on a made three-pointer at the buzzer off of a blocked shot, we do an emergency podcast. That's a rule. It's tradition.
It is tradition.
We've never done an emergency podcast about a Husky basketball game. There's never really been a reason for us to do that during the time we've been podcasting. Just about Lorenzo Romar.
We were close about Kansas. We were close about Kansas.
Yeah, I guess. And had we done it the night before, or did we did that night? I can't remember what it was.
The night before.
That probably actually should have merited it, but we didn't. But this time we are doing it because you've demanded it.
I've demanded
the
people.
Yeah, I say you. I mean both Tristan, whom I'm pointing, but also you, the listener.
And do you want to know who hasn't demanded it?
Who hasn't demanded?
That is you.
Hate.
You didn't demand these victories. You said that they wouldn't happen. You said that every other team would make regression to the mean work for them. You said that people wouldn't want an emergency podcast. But look where we are.
I mean, first off, we don't deal in all or nothing here on the Peltoncast. We deal in probabilities. And I gave you a probability that the Huskies would win the Arizona game and the Arizona State game. And if you multiply them out, it implied about a 10% chance that they would, in fact, win both games, as they did. So it's not that stunning that it happened. Now, the fashion in which it happened is pretty stunning.
Absolutes here.
Oh, no. Oh.
And those absolutes are no L. And that's what happened. No L for the weekend.
At the outset of the Peltoncast, the Mariners didn't feature prominently in our coverage. In fact, we once recorded an episode of Lookout Landing's Why I'm a Mariners Fan series that explained why we were not, in fact, fans anymore. Tristan blamed Ichiro. But Kevin followed Tristan back on the bandwagon in 2021, just in time for the Mariners' return to the playoffs the following year. An extra inning win over the New York Yankees officially cemented the Mariners taking a central role on the pod. But it's a semi-emergency pod here.
It also is fitting that this is episode 324 because of the game that just happened in the house that Griffey built.
It's the A-Rod/Griffey episode of the pod.
An instant classic, an A-Rod/Griffey podcast because of the two teams who are participating also.
It also checks out, yes. The Seattle Mariners outlasted the New York Yankees in 13 innings, 12 and a half of them scoreless, finally in what is tied for the longest baseball game this season, with the new rules putting a runner at second in extra innings. The longest scoreless game since they adopted those rules.
Our savior, thy name is Loris Torrens. Did not expect it to happen. The only time he took the field the entire game. And then he gets Gatorade dumped on him at the end. Incredible. I've told you this so many times. Winning a game big, that's fun, right? But you have to see the darkness. And you know what we saw today? There were so many times that I was sitting there watching this game where I was like, it is going to fucking suck. We've invested so much time and energy and emotion into this game, and to lose it at the end of this, that is going to feel awful. But on the flip side of that, after investing that time and energy and emotion into a game, coming up with a W on a Loris Torrens base knock, that is what sports is all about. Baseball's fun.
And Julio Rodriguez didn't even participate in this game.
I was looking
that
for
fun.
him. I actually saw him a lot.
Yeah,
it was
very
comforting every time I saw him.
Where did you think he was going to be?
I just like seeing him. I just like knowing he's okay.
A couple of months later, we welcome Mike Barwin of Tasteful Profanity to get hype about the Mariners ending their 21-year playoff drought on Cal Raleig's blast. Even though Tristan called it on last week's podcast, even though Fangraphs was sitting at 100% for the Seattle Mariners, they still had to make it official. And you didn't want to do it with the Baltimore Orioles losing to the Yankees. What fun would that have been to just like, okay, everyone applauds in the stadium during the middle of the game as the Mariners
a little
are trying
golf
to win.
clap. Yeah. I'm totally with you.
No. Instead, what you did is to take it to the bottom of the ninth in a 1-1 tied game and bring to the plate as a pinch hitter the man affectionately known as Big Dumper. And the rest is truly history now.
It is. I was watching the game with somebody who has no idea about the Mariners, not from Seattle, not a fan. They were a good sport dealing with my convulsions throughout the game, right? But I was trying to explain Luis Torrens to this person and why
how to talk to your children about Luis Torrens.
Exactly. I was like, I'll just be blunt about it. I was like, this guy sucks, but also he's come through huge in multiple moments. So maybe he doesn't suck. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but he's batting 6th. So I'm wondering maybe if, saving that pinch hit spot for Big Cal later in the game in a high leverage spot. And what do you know?
I will give it up to Luis Torrens also as having the game-winning hit against the Yankees in the previous most exciting game of the season, then getting DFA'd the next day.
Yes. And he also had the game-tying single the night before all of this happened.
Luis Torrens has been through some things this year. But
oh, yeah.
I think, like you mentioned, that to me is the most exciting aspect of the season is none of it has been expected, right? But also how you get to know these individual players. And I think it's a thing that I'd forgotten about with a baseball team that you actually liked was you look back, and I remember the 90s, it was just like Alex Diaz, that is the dude. Kevin had Rich Amaral, right? And you had these players where you're like, that's my guy. I never had a guy for the last 20 years, right? Where it's just like, oh yeah, this player would pop up. I'd be like, oh, Justin Smoke, he seems interesting. And then it's like, oh, I loathe this person after a little while or whatever. But now this year, you've got your guys all of a sudden, right? And I think that's what's so exciting about this playoff run is it's like you have Haggerty, right? He's like kind of everybody's guy or whatever. But the Big Dumper coming through, Cal Raleigh, who's actually having kind of a monster season. What home run was that for him? Like
26. That set the record for the Mariners. That broke Mike Zunino's record for most home runs in a season by a Mariner.
At no point this season, especially early in the season, would you have said to yourself, Cal Raleigh is going to have 26 home runs and hit the homer? And he was up at the plate, and it was just like, he might do this. Every single batter is just like, because they went through his Eugenio, Santana, and then Raleigh, right? And you're like, I think he's going to hit a jack to send the team to the playoffs. But that is something that we have not felt for so long. And the way that you see like Carlos Santana come up and you're like, yeah, he's going to do it. Like the nervousness that you feel when you're a baseball fan has gone because of some of these players, but then the relationship that you have to them.
Although the Mariners' 2022 run ended in the ALDS against the rival Houston Astros, Tristan was convinced better things were in store in 2023 when he previewed the year as part of his Mariners Hot Takes.
I think back to that smoky October day when the Mariners season tragically ended, but it didn't feel like an ending. We knew it was just the beginning of something greater than any of us. While the Mariners as a team may be the Seattle sports figure of the year 2022, 2023 is the year that it finally comes together. This week, we'll finally pick up what I've been waiting for every single second since that day. Christmas morning, deep down, I was thinking about Teoscar Hernandez. As we counted down to midnight on New Year's Eve, I was thinking about Luis Castillo. When I celebrated my child's 6th birthday, in the back of my mind, there was Colton Wong. I've mentioned that my expectations for Jared Kelenic have increased throughout the spring training from hitting 400 to never getting it out all season to having a TikTok account solely dedicated to stats of his which seemed fake to finally landing at hitting a home run in every single at-bat. Sorry, plate appearance. Or this
Well,
rotation.
You think they're not going to intentionally walk him if he's hitting a home run every at bat?
Or this rotation that has 5 aces now that Marco Gonzalez is in the best shape of his life. Or that I've looked at the roster and I see literally no holes. I'm not even joking. But folks,
He's not.
Aside from that, I said this in earnest that there were no holes on the roster. You brought up Cooper Hummels.
He was the first place I started.
That was the only hole. Aside from that, the one joy I've been waiting for that we didn't get to see for about a month prior to that smoky day is seeing the most winning player in baseball play again. Sam fucking Haggerty! Big Ham Swaggerty. He's back. He's healthy. He even avoided the Italian WBC roster just to focus on this Mariners season.
Think of all the in-dugout espresso he missed out on.
And Ichiro, he's coming for you. Not for the Mariners' all-time best winning percentage. Nope. This year, he's going to be the one inducted into the Mariners Hall of Fame this August. The first time that's ever happened to an active player by my records. Hang the fucking banner. I cannot wait for Thursday.
Build the statue.
Woo! I'm so ready for baseball.
So you saw, as
I'm
I tweeted about,
sweating. I'm so excited about baseball.
that errant vision finally became reality in 2025 when the Mariners got within a game of their first World Series behind an MVP runner-up season from Cal Raleigh. Don't burn yourself. We got Mariners hot takes coming at ya.
As we have done for 49 years of Mariners baseball and something like 7 years of Mariners hot takes. Do we know how long that is?
No, we looked it up, but do I remember? No, I don't.
I've always been doing Mariners hot takes. You can look at the Overlook Hotel, and in the painting, there I am in the Mariners' first season delivering Mariners hot takes. But we say goodbye to Mariners. You don't get that reference. We say goodbye to Mariners baseball in 2025 without a pennant. I get it to be disappointed that it ended the same as was the other 48, but 2025 was inarguably the best season in Mariners history yet. They got to play more games than 28 other teams across the league, and damn it if they didn't make the most of those games. 15 to close out the Tigers, all the way down to the final strike tonight, swing, we'll call it. The thought of watching them try to figure it out for at least 4 more games would have been very, very fun. But this season was for all of us. I mean, like, they had the greatest non-Yankee power hitter in American League history. They beat Scooble.
Greatest non-Yankee? Or greatest period? He surpassed Aaron Judge. Babe Ruth didn't hit 65 home runs in a season. Roger
Sure,
Maris.
okay, yes,
None
yes.
of those.
We will go cumulative. Fair enough.
He's number
okay.
one.
Okay, the
nobody.
greatest power hitter in American League history. They beat Scooble twice in the LDS. They had the winner of the home run derby, retired a number for the first of 2 consecutive summers, a first, and won the fucking ALS for the first time in 24 years. But those moments were all for the masses. I was thinking about this take. What I expected to be delivering, because I'm not a smart person, this one after the Mariners were off to the World Series. But this season belonged to all of us. Long-term fans like myself, you, and Jimmer. No, but actually, those of us who've been there for all of the ups and downs of the season. Just glancing at the schedule, and I'm kind of getting emotional about thinking about us watching opening night cloud of victory. That Friday night 11-inning slugfest with the Giants. Do you remember that one? The Sunday when we went for your birthday party, seeing Robles get hurt at the beginning of the season.
Oof.
When you're at the beginning of the season, every game feels so important at that point. Going to San Diego and sweeping them to take a commanding lead on the Vetter Cup as it was starting to appear Cal was doing something special. Watching on my phone while we were at Wings and Waves somewhere deep in Oregon because I was just desperate for more baseball. The Cole Young walk-off fielder's choice in his debut that you also were at. Ben Williamson's debut, as well as picking up a couple of hits. The swoon in June when we got swept by the Orioles and losses to the Angels. You remember being at that Orioles game, and despite the Cal Jack, we were just like, this is a 500 team at best. The brutal loss to the Yankees in the midst of that sweep and absolutely hating Jazz Chisholm, but blowing it after the gem that Wu threw. I definitely do not remember hearing Rick Riz so disappointed than that game. And then following it up after that with the sweep of the Tigers to close out the first half of the season, where the Mariners could not be stopped in the 8th and 9th innings. I remember it was hot as fuck in Seattle that weekend, and Luka was playing a tournament in Puyallup and absolutely raking in a 13U tournament. It's funny how the magic of baseball is that it brings you back to what you were doing while listening or watching baseball games that were happening. But then beating Mizorowski 1-0 because of another Cal Jack. Honestly, one of the most fun Mariners games I've ever been to. Just casually walking throughout the stadium, sitting in a bunch of different seats. Canzone coming on later in the season and walking it off against the White Sox for another sweep. July 30th, do you remember this? Losing to the A's, but trading for Gino mid-game and not caring at all about the outcome. A couple games later, the JP walk-off against the Rangers and the bat flip that he had when that happened. I was laying in bed with children and had to be absolutely quiet when that happened, making no noise. And I just like silently pumped my fist. The run that followed that, and then the deep swoon that succeeded it, going to the East Coast and losing all those games to the Phillies and the Mets when we felt like the season might be dead at that point. The Leo Rivas walk-off homer, followed the next night by the Harry Ford walk-off sac fly. Stressing about playoff odds throughout all of August and hoping for a wild card before they rattled off 17 of 18. And then casually ending the Astros and the absolute desperation we felt around the Wu injury. To the second to the last home series with those back-to-back electric nights against the Rockies, clinching the playoffs, and then the AL West with Cal hitting his 60th homer. All the way to how rocking T-Mobile was just a couple weeks ago for his first playoff series as the higher seed in a couple of decades. Jorge hitting 2 homers off of Scooble, Humpy finally doing it, and the Polo walk-off, and Gino and Wu in Game 5. Those were the moments that defined the season for the Mariners, plus so much more. So thanks for listening along with Mariners Hot Takes in 2025, allowing me to talk about the boys of summer, my classic American summer, processing getting older, ennui, getting angry over the decisions of their ex-catcher manager, and also growing to love him, I think. The Gas brothers, and the roster with no holes. I have a feeling that the next one might also lack holes, even if they re-sign Tommy La Stella this offseason. So anyway, this was a season for us. The ones who remember all of those moments, and more, and lived and died with them along the way. It's a long season, but this one was the absolute most fun of them. One that was rewarding even in the downtimes. Players and situations we'll remember for the rest of our lives. So excuse me if I'm not that down about the outcome tonight, because the real hard part is going to be waiting until the next one, because baseball is the fucking best. And we're the second to last team who has to say this, but there's always next year.
Bold predictions have been a tradition since the Peltoncast's early days, when Tristan foresaw Jermaine Kearse scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl some 2+ months before the Seahawks actually advanced to it.
Well, I can think of no more appropriate player to sponsor besides the fact that he's a weekly fixture on the Peltoncast. He's also a guy that played at UW and now for the Seahawks. Is Seattle as they get, despite being from Tacoma.
I'm expecting a lot more listens to the podcast because of this real traffic coming through that Jermaine Kearse page.
That $10 is really going to be some impressive ROI, I think.
We invested $10. I looked through other options. Jermaine Kearse just really felt like the right person to sponsor.
It fits with the fabulous Peltoncast brand very well.
I asked you this morning, should we sponsor the Jermaine Kearse page on Pro Football Reference? And you responded in all caps, yes. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this then.
It's a no-brainer.
I was looking earlier at the Russell Wilson page, but that was like $65.
Yeah, I mean...
That's like a legit investment.
And it's not the same kind of growth because people are going to see Jermaine Kearse continuing to catch passes for the Seahawks and be like, who is this guy? I've never heard of him.
When Jermaine Kearse catches a touchdown in the Super Bowl, knock on wood, knock, people are going to be looking at that Pro Football Reference page.
In that scenario, they would. And that would be $10 well...
Tristan earned this nickname, Nostra Tristan, with this prediction before the Seahawks played the Giants that season and picked off Eli Manning 5 times.
How many interceptions do you think the Seahawks get this week?
I feel like 2.
4.
4
interceptions.
Wow.
We should have recognized that success would eventually regress to the mean. Midway through the 2018 MLS season, which is very long, Kevin dropped this ice-cold take about the Sounders.
Here's the thing. Can I give you a take?
Yes.
It's only the 4th of July. There are still approximately 8 months left in the MLS season. The season is over for the Sounders.
Wow!
I know that...
Calling it?
I'm calling it. I know that technically they still have 17% playoff odds according to the 538 Soccer Power Index projections. That's shockingly good given how bad they have been. That's a higher percent that they have points so far this season in the matches they've played. But
They're averaging something like 0.8 points per match.
It's a very low number. But look, the season is over.
The Sounders ended up winning 14 of their final 16 matches to finish second in the West. A year later, Tristan forecast doom when Seattle Storm star and third Pelton brother Sue Bird underwent knee surgery during training camp at age 38. So Ted McNucker.
Let it be known that I'm giving you a knowing look again about the age difference between 31 and 39.
I mean, look, this is also part of why everyone always asks Sue about retirement.
He was like 6 years into his NBA career at that point.
That is true. This is part of why everyone always is asking Sue Bird about her retirement, even though she pushed back on that on the first day of training camp. But at the same time, she was an extremely effective player last season. She's had surgeries and come back from them fast.
How old was she?
Younger.
I'm trying.
I mean, people thought people thought this though in 2013.
That was 6 years ago.
Yeah, but she was...
Do you know how old I was in 2013? I was in my 20s.
You were no beard years ago.
Vibrant. I had 0 out of 10 children at that point.
No, you still had 1 child at that point.
That math doesn't check out. It's a different climate.
So you're
for an early 30-year-old versus a late 30-year-old. As a late 30-year-old, I can speak to this.
Wait, are you a late 30-year-old?
No.
Okay. Not even after your birthday. Oh, God. Baby Fantasy Genius, I'm very excited to celebrate his apparently 5th birthday last month.
You know that this is true, though.
There's certainly a chance of it, but I don't know why we just immediately lump to that being the default assumption.
How many athletes at the age of 39 do you know that are successful, aside from Tom Brady?
How many athletes do you know that are successful at the age of 37? Because guess what? Your odds of being successful at 39 are a lot higher if you're successful at 37.
Coming off a year of injury,
I don't know why this, the fact that it's a whole year makes a difference if it's 8 weeks versus a full year. The decision is not going to be made.
It's not playing for a full year. Are you joking? You don't think you get rusty from not playing for a full year?
You can still practice.
There is a difference. You know that there's a difference. Are you kidding me?
No, I don't agree.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
I'm sorry, I don't have a database off the top of my head.
That is all that you have off the top of your head.
Just don't know why you're trying to shovel dirt on Sue here.
I'm not trying to shovel dirt on Sue here. I'm trying to say this is not a great situation.
No, obviously it's not ideal. Hey, you know what else is not a great situation? The head coach having cancer and the star player having a ruptured Achilles. None of it is a great situation. Or playing 6 games in Everett. None of it.
Playing 6 games in Everett. Oh, boy. Anyway, maybe those Silver Tips fans will be there.
I mean, I'm told the people of Everett are excited, so we'll see how many of them turn out.
Yeah. I mean, if the options are an Aqua Sox game or to go to this, they would choose a Storm game.
So Seahawks.
I don't know why you're getting angry at me for saying that it's not a good situation for Sue Bird at 39.
That's not what you're saying. You're saying Sue Bird is finished. That's what you're saying.
Well, look, I speak truth to power over here.
God.
Do you realistically think that, wait, how old is she again?
38.
She's 38 at this moment.
Yes.
By the time, if she were to take the year off, she would be 39 next year.
Yes.
Do you realistically think that she's going to have another good WNBA season in her?
I don't know. She's already dramatically defied my expectations. She was better at age 37 than she was in her mid-20s. I don't know what got into you today. You want to try to make one time.
Okay. But you are too close to the situation. Are you joking? You really think that Sue Bird is going to be a competitive WNBA player at 39 years old?
Maybe.
We have to talk in percentage chances here, though.
I mean, did you think that she was going to be an effective WNBA player this year at age 38?
She didn't miss the previous year. You don't think that matters at all?
I think it matters to some extent, but I don't think it matters as much as you're making it out to.
Okay, fine. Fuck, the Storm will win the championship next year. God. Just recognize when it's over.
Guess we're not doing nuance in this podcast anymore.
This is nuance. nuance. I'm telling you, if your nuance is that you think your 39-year-old point guard is going to bounce back and
Again, I mean, in a vacuum, you say, hey, you're going to win a championship with a 37-year-old point guard who has to miss games due to
they
rest?
won a championship with Breonna Stewart. They didn't win a championship with a 37-year-old point guard. They had the best player in the fucking WNBA. Are you kidding me?
Did she
Okay,
retire?
so next year...
you think Breonna Stewart's not going to
She's
come back?
also coming off a year of injury.
Remind me, who had the big game in Game 5 against Phoenix? Who led them in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. Super had one good game. Therefore, the entire season was perfect.
Good. Glad we have a WNBA expert here on the pod.
I'm just saying, you are, like, I can't believe how rosy you are about this Storm situation when it's clearly fucked.
Should they move the franchise to New Orleans? I don't know.
We're fighting about this like I care. But I'm just telling you, this is not set up to be a good long-term situation. Breonna Stewart will probably bounce back, but Sue Bird will not be there alongside her.
Wouldn't bet against him.
God.
So Seahawks.
This is maybe our... we have offline contentiousness continuing.
Bobby Wagner is attending OTAs, but will not practice until his extension is complete.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Do you think he's going to be able to come back from missing this time?
Oh, my God.
I would say all signs are positive on the extension
You think Doug
front.
Baldwin's going to have a monster year next year? You're so mad when people make fun of you.
I'm not mad when people make fun of me. I'm mad when people...
God, I wish Katie was here.
Act so self-righteous.
Not self-righteous. Okay, anyway, Bobby Wagner.
The following year, Bird came back as the WNBA season was played amidst the pandemic on a bubble campus. It's a league that is playing in a bubble. The WNBA, which tipped off over the weekend on Saturday in the opening game of the season, your Seattle Storm got an 87-71 win over the New York Liberty behind 15 steals. Back on the court for the first time since the 2018 WNBA Finals and winning the championship, Breonna Stewart led the Storm with 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals. And Sue Bird, after a slow start, had 11 points, 5 assists, was 3 of 5 from 3. A performance commemorated thanks to Ben Baldwin on Twitter as we looked back on your prediction that her city out last season felt like retirement.
Look, you were taking the victory lap here, but the joke's on you. I enjoyed every second of this. I had a great time watching Storm basketball on Saturday and was ready for more.
3 months later, Bird led the Storm to her 4th and final championship with the team. Although sports are the focus for the Peltoncast, we also found time to crown several of Seattle's best food items, starting with Unita as best burger in 2017, a decision we've since renounced in favor of Kevin's pick, Loretta's, followed by Dozone dumplings and Tacos Chuki's Tacos in 2018. Our ramen search was the first to be judged by the decider, Zach Whitman, despite his embarrassing gaffe while ordering. That paled in comparison, though, to when you were ordering.
Oh, well, I was going to get into that, but yeah. we want to go into, because I have been thinking about this ever since. Again, it was 10:30. We get in there at 11. We sit down, and I am so excited to order. I don't think I've ever gone to a place where I could just say one word and they would know that's the order. And I've been told this place has one ramen. So I am in that mindset. I'm ready. I'm thinking I am going to order this, and it's going to be so cool because I'm going to say one word, and they're going to bring me just what I want. A great ramen in Seattle. So the waiter comes. He says, "What would you like?" And I said, "Sushi."
Oh my God!
And so Kevin looks at me quizzically, but not saying anything, like a sphinx or something. And so then the waiter looks at me just so nicely, he kind of leans down further and he goes, "What kind of sushi?"
Oh my God!
This is going to be Zach's sushi credentials when we do the search for Seattle's best sushi.
Next winter.
So I, of course, looked at him and then realized I was being a complete moron. It then did take me a few start and stops to remember the word ramen in my freezer, but I eventually did. So I went in thinking I was going to drop one word and get my ramen, and it really turned into an experience. So not my finest moment.
Oh my god. Oh, that is so good.
Oink emerged as Seattle's best ramen, followed by Maono's Chicken Sandwich as Seattle's best sandwich in 2019, and Toshi's in Mill Creek as Seattle's best teriyaki in 2020. Our search for Seattle's best fried chicken revealed something to Tristan about himself.
I think through this search, I've kind of become anti-chicken strip.
Wow! He went from hating the bones to loving the bones.
Yeah.
Classic Tristan take.
Cookies did it to me. I'm telling you, they ruin strips forever. Give me the bones. Look, if you can do the bones right, look, you're eating a chicken. Why do you need to eat this bastardized version of an animal where you're chopping off these little pieces and frying it? Give me the real thing. Give me a goddamn drumstick. You know what I mean? A drumstick and a wing and a thigh and a breast and the other parts of a chicken which you could possibly eat. Why are you upset about this? I'm sorry. I think
it's the flip-flop nature of it.
It's not a flip-flop nature. I'm sorry. It's about learning more about something and updating your perspective about it.
Your position has evolved.
What is that not true? Think about how much more chicken I'm eating right now and how much more critically I'm thinking about the chicken that I'm eating now versus January or whatever. Look, I feel like, if anything, I should be lauded for this perspective.
You always feel like, if anything, you should be lauded. Because of their limited availability, we couldn't crown Flower Box Seattle's best donuts in 2023, but we did award them Seattle's best donut, singular, while calling out the haters.
That's why you can go anytime.
But the other fact, look, again, worth the wait. And to all of you motherfuckers on Yelp, Google reviews, rating this place a 3 stars. I had to wait in line too long. Why doesn't she work more hours? Like, bro, it's not your life.
Yeah, fuck you, dog.
Why do you want to mess up these donuts? These donuts are perfect. Do not mess with what you're doing at all.
If there were a second location of Flower Box, I would be furious about it.
I would be furious.
If the quality of these donuts goes down even one slight bit because Pamela Vong is more distracted by something that is not making these donuts 4 days a week, that's a reality of the situation.
Well, we're not going to check that out.
Waiting in line is a feature of what you're about to eat, not a detriment. Every single person who's complaining about that, your life isn't that important, dog, or guess what? Don't eat the donuts.
Right?
Nobody is asking you to.
No one is forcing you to.
If these donuts are not good enough to you to wait in line,
don't wait in line.
Don't wait in
Problem
line.
solved. Speaking of food, Kevin's trip to Charleston around NBA All-Star Weekend in Charlotte sparked unexpected jealousy from Tristan. I mean, I can't speak. I'm not going to say anything negative about Franco. The other amazing thing about this, by the way, is, like, I'm telling you, this is La Barbecue quality, I'm sure, in Charleston. The wait was 5 minutes. I got there, like, on the early side for lunch, but 5 minutes. God, like, I was worried whether I was going to have time to do it.
Not only did you get to go to Charleston, but you just didn't even have to wait for your barbecue.
Oh, and there was, like, one person in front of me in line at Rodney Scott Barbecue. I went at, like, 5 on a Thursday.
What kind of beers are they serving?
I can't really remember.
Were you alone in Charleston, or was there anybody with you? God, I could have eaten and drank my way through Charleston so much.
And I was driving a rental car, so I like a company rental car, so I couldn't drink. So that was the downside.
You could have parked. You were staying in a hotel, though.
I could have taken Lyft around.
How big could Charleston be? You could take an Uber anywhere.
It's decently big. I could have done it, but I did not, in fact.
Okay, you're not competing hard enough. Because if this
I was doing the meal right before the 3 hour in Lewis Barbecue, where they have a full bar, which is the place you'd want to drink. I was doing that right before the 3 hour drive to Charlotte. That was not, drinking was not an option on that.
Man, I want to be alone in Charleston so bad.
You're really obsessed with not having anyone else there?
I feel like this is like a Bob Dylan song, Alone in Charleston. It was like a pretty solid single from like the 4th Hold Steady record.
It's like a huge place. Like, they've got, a large indoor area. They've got the bar, and then they've got a bunch of outdoor seating, which I, of course, took advantage of because it was like 70 degrees and it was 40 degrees hotter than it was.
can't
in
hear
Seattle.
any
It
of
was
these
so
things.
good. It was amazing. Like it was.
I would have
honestly-
never made it to the All-Star game.
It was
like there would have been
you
a
would've
little
just stayed there.
placard that said, "This is me as you." There would have been a little placard that said Tristan Caracino, ESPN, and there would have never been a person sitting behind it.
They don't even have individualized seats, so no one would have been the wiser.
Wow.
But it was one of the best meals
I would
have
have
ever
I would
had
have
in my
done
life.
my All-Star trade grades or whatever from the road. It's like I could turn it on the freaking All-Star Saturday night from the hotel after full of barbecue and drinks from Charleston. I would have been feeling good.
I mean, the ribs were really good. They
Oh
were
my God.
much smaller than the Rodney Scott barbecue ribs.
I'm like
maybe not quite as
worked
good
up
as
about
that,
this.
but like they were a distant third. That's how good. The other thing you said, they don't let you have barbecue sauce. Well, I don't know what they do at Law Barbecue, but at Lewis Barbecue in Charleston, they do in fact have sauces.
I mean, I'm sure they have sauces,
And
but
those
it's
were really
frowned
good.
upon. When you're in Texas, if you put barbecue sauce on it,
I understand, but I mean, it wasn't putting
there
this on
will
a
be a
slice
man
of
in a
brisket.
cowboy hat who gives you a dirty look.
I didn't need it because of the fact that it was so flavorful. It was incredible. Like I will dream of this.
Every
brisket.
sentence you say is a knife through my heart. I'm never going to go to Charleston. There will never be a reason for me to go to Charleston, no matter how badly I want to, especially alone. Like, that's, for some reason, this is like what I want more than anything, is to be in Charleston alone.
When we turn this into a full-time food podcast, maybe it'll happen.
Alone in Charleston. I'm actually going to make a spin-off podcast on the Peltoncast network, just called Alone in Charleston.
This is a really depressing podcast.
No,
I
it's
feel.
not. It is going to be a celebratory podcast.
As the Peltoncast evolved, the listener played a bigger role in our content. Noah Cohen originated the Peltoncast MVP Award in 2021, won by an unlikely figure, our famous cousin Katie, based on her guest appearances roasting us, as she did in accepting the award.
No, I was thinking that I should thank all of my supporter for voting for me again. It was such a thrill, but I wanted to pull a Ving Rhames. I'm sure you remember in 1998 how he called Don Lemon, not Don Lemon, god damn it.
I'm so fascinated where this is going.
What is his name? The old lemon. What is his name? Grumpy old men.
Oh, Jack Lemmon, yes.
Liz
Jack
Lemon.
Lennon? There we go. Whatever. Anyways, he called him up on stage and he said, I want to share my Golden Globe or Emmy or one of those with you because I think it should have been yours. And so I think that it would only be right to share this honor with someone who brings it every week for the podcast. Someone who's, puts in all that time, just an extraordinary amount of time every week. They're just dedicated to the cause. And that I'm going to call right now to share this with me. And that is going to be an awkwardly long pause.
Oh, no. Wow, awkwardly long pause. Love to be here tonight. Very excited to be here.
You're the
It's
real
right.
MVP.
Yeah. Wow, well done.
I was really upset that didn't make the top voting. So
There may have been some strategic voting from multiple accounts by me to prevent that. That may or may not have happened.
wait, are you serious?
It's fixed.
I am serious, yes.
The whole ballot is fixed.
I have a lot of different accounts, as you know.
Wow. Did you vote for yourself?
No, I actually did not vote for myself even in the final ballot, but these were the polls to determine the last finalist. So I was voting for Let's Remember Some Years, which did in fact come in second in the voting. So I thought it was a reasonable choice.
Let's Remember Some Years was only in a handful of podcasts. Awkward silence is sprinkled throughout all of the Peltoncast.
In terms of volume, it's tough to top, that's for sure.
I don't think this was ever a thing before we started having to do Zoom podcasts. I feel like
I
it's
agree.
gotten like much more prominent in the post-Zoom era.
The thing is, I think a lot of people think I don't edit these podcasts, that I just slap them up immediately after we're done. And that's not true. I'm doing a shit ton of editing and still there's all these awkward pauses. So think about what it must sound like when we're recording it.
You think that's more of a compliment to yourself than it is.
Oh no, I don't think that at all. It's a defense of myself in one limited way. Oh boy.
Awkwardly long pause is the real MVP of the heavily edited Peltoncast.
Are you ever editing in the pauses? Does that happen?
Look, you can't fake awkwardness like that. That has to be all natural.
Anyway, you people got what you wanted. Katie has her third MVP. It's really impressive here.
She's right up there with like Jordan, Russell, Kareem, all these one-named NBA stars. There was the whole thing this year about we can't vote Giannis an MVP a third time because he's not as good as those players, which he wasn't deserving of the MVP anyway. But Katie, she just sailed right on through for the third MVP. Never a question.
I was scared, very scared.
Why were you scared?
Well, the competition. It was tough this year.
What was the concept? The concept of remembering things.
Yeah.
Two of the three other choices are static from year to year. Now, Tristan did, as we discussed last week, wage a PR campaign on his own behalf. He was putting up billboards.
If recording this podcast is a PR campaign, that's like saying fucking LeBron James is waging a PR. Did he wage a PR campaign by hitting that game-winning shot tonight?
No,
that's what you saw was a PR campaign.
He waged a PR campaign by telling everyone that he was seeing 3 baskets. That was the PR campaign.
Can't see, bro. That's please.
And quite a PR campaign it was.
Facts. Anyway, I was remembering, in honor of the real MVP, remembering some years. I was remembering some of Katie's greatest appearances from this year, which I'd forgotten about. But then I was thinking back to, was this around Apple Cup time that Katie had, I believe, 2 consecutive legendary Bob Wine appearances.
I think around then probably, yes. I mean, I don't know what time the Apple Cup was supposed to be played this year anymore because college football was so weird, but it was around Christmas time that there was Bob Wine, and we talked about Christmas songs, of course. So that happened. Yeah.
I mean, I have no recollection of Bob Wine appearances, but...
Well, the Bob Wine will do that to you. Okay. The Peltoncast developed its own lore over time, including coining a name for Yakima's beer production.
I'm a little bit concerned here, though, because Deschutes Bend, Oregon, right? We're getting pretty far south. Hops from Idaho. Questionable. These are not coming from the fresh hop region of the state of Washington.
That's correct.
And I don't know if this can be called an authentic fresh hop IPA. Wow. I think it can be a hop IPA, but to be a fresh hop IPA, it actually needs to come from the fresh hop region of Eastern Washington.
I don't know if there's just a specific fresh hop region. I think that's just the hop region, but there are other hop regions.
But there's a fresh hop region, and that's where fresh hops come from, right? To be an authentic fresh hop ale, it has to be from the fresh hop region of Washington. Are we in disagreement about this?
We are. I think this is some Peltoncast geography here. I think it's mostly just that
we learned this year that fresh hops come from the fresh hop region of Washington.
But the fresh hop region is the Northwest.
And this is no offense. Look, we're previewing the NBA season. Our brethren in Portland have suited us very well in this time period where we have to cheer for hockey and not basketball. But they cannot have fresh hops in the state of Oregon.
Their hops cannot be the freshest. I would agree with that.
So... I mean, we're talking Germany, Siegelhopfen, and Oregon. That is not where fresh hops come from. Look, the words fresh hop may be on this beer.
There may be a fresh hop season in Germany. That seems plausible.
All right, we'll give
it
to Bitburger.
It's got to be in the Pacific
Northwest. But a fresh hop IPA has to come from the fresh hop region of Washington. We're branding this, right? This is a real thing.
Again, I know you're making this sound like there's a difference. Like this region is growing hops, and this region is growing fresh hops. They're all the same hops. It's just some of them are being used immediately at harvest.
Some are fresher. Let me just explain. You understand about the Champagne region of France, right? Champagne has to be from... You can have sparkling wine. Sparkling wine's great, right? Call it Prosecco, call it whatever you want. But if it's not from the Champagne region of France, it's not champagne. And if it's not from the fresh hop region of Washington State... It's not a fresh hop.
Right,
sorry, Deschutes.
Fine. It's not a fresh hop beer this week.
Anyway.
Tough beat for us.
Anyway.
Well, to our toast.
We have a hop IPA.
First off, more than anything, though, we know what you loved: the fights. Enjoy this lengthy segment with our most bitter one over whether the Seahawks should have attempted to sign Cam Newton as a backup to Russell Wilson ahead of the 2020 season. Did you see the Brock Heward's poll of like, hey, would you sign Cam Newton to the same deal that the Saints gave Jameis? And that 32% of people, as of earlier this afternoon, were voting no to that scenario?
Okay, so I don't mean to defend. All these people are really mad at Brock. I think Brock and Saul were down on the Seahawks draft.
I mean, my issue there, he just posed the question.
Is it unheard of that Cam Newton signs a deal like that? Like, I think that's Jameis was way underpaid for the deal that he signed. So, like, is it absurd to think that Cam would sign a deal for that much money?
I'm sorry, I underestimated it. It was 38% said no.
But if I can defend the 38% of no's, I don't know if I just don't really personally, I would say yes. I don't think you threaten Russell Wilson's job for no reason.
You're not threatening the job by signing someone who is unsigned in April, was released by his team, and is making the league minimum. That is no sense a threat to his job.
People. Most of the country, I've seen polls on this, most of the country is dumb people. And the second that Russell Wilson, like if the Seahawks start out 2-2, those fuckers are going to be demanding for Cam Newton to start. And Anthony Gordon can be there. I honestly, in fact, in this moment, look, would I rather Cam Newton as the backup quarterback? But also,
I don't know if he's still the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. There is no scenario where, I mean, yeah, there's going to be some morons who say that. There also were people who thought Coach Pete should. Couldn't people be in this week's poll? Were unhappy with Coach Pete last year, but people were saying that Coach Pete should get fired last year. There's going to be a lunatic fringe in any scenario.
Those people are reasonable individuals. I would be just as happy with them going into this next season, not off season, of course, this next season, which won't happen, with Anthony Gordon as I would be with them with Cam Newton.
That's a preposterous take.
Why? Why are you planning for Russell Wilson to get injured?
Because he might get injured. Hey, why are you planning for a pandemic when there's not currently a pandemic? Oh, good call. Let's not plan for that. That's the logic you're losing here.
I'd much rather.
Great.
As a player, I would rather have Kaepernick than I'd rather have Cam Newton. If we're talking about,
I would rather have Cam Newton, who last played in the NFL in September, than Colin Kaepernick, who last played in the NFL in 2015.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna get to let's remember some years when Colin Kaepernick was last in the NFL, not that long ago.
Anything to threaten Russell Wilson.
Nothing is going to threaten. You made him the fucking highest paid quarterback in the NFL. The guy making the minimum is in no sense going to threaten him.
It's a stature issue. If Cam Newton is in the
this
locker
is a
room,
ridiculous position.
If Cam Newton is in the locker room, undermining.
Why are you assuming that he's going to be undermining? And first off, if he is doing that, then you just fucking waive him.
Why do you take the risk?
Because it's not that big of a risk. This is, you know what this is? This is a distraction issue. You're basically making the same argument that has kept Colin Kaepernick out of the NFL. So enjoy that, friend.
You're just wrong here.
You agree with Colin Kaepernick critics.
Well, I mean, there would be a tension, but it's not distraction. With Colin Kaepernick and Cam Newton are different beasts. The amount of people who would be calling for...
Nobody's going to be calling to bench Russell Wilson! Why are you operating out of the fear of this improbable scenario? Whereas the scenario that Russell Wilson, for some reason, is unable to play a football game, if any of us can play football games, is a much more likely scenario.
Cam Newton has won the fucking MVP. You could divide the locker room with somebody who's won the MVP and is one of the most respected players. This is not an anti-Cam Newton take. This is a pro-Cam Newton take. I'm saying Cam Newton is a starting caliber NFL quarterback, and if you make him be a backup, it's a problem.
But you're not making him be a backup. The market is making him be a backup. He is choosing to be a backup. He's not. No one is trading him here. He is signing here of his own free will and volition in this hypothetical scenario.
This is not an option that's on.
Well, why would you be against it not happening? This is your worst take in a long time.
You're just so wrong here. I think I voted yes.
Some guy with like 8 numbers, some bot with like 8 numbers in his username on Twitter is going to tweet about Cam Newton should start, and that's why they shouldn't sign him.
Wrong.
You know Richard Sherman doesn't play for the Seahawks anymore, right? You know that he plays for the 49ers.
There's other defensive players than Richard Sherman.
Yeah, they're all gone too. All of them are fucking gone.
You're not getting it. You're not getting it on a
not getting it.
Level. You're making this is like
Russell Wilson is unimpeachable.
Fucking tape grinder person.
Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl for the Seahawks. Cam Newton didn't win a Super Bowl for the Seahawks. He didn't win any Super Bowls at all.
He's won an MVP,
but certainly not for the Seahawks. Well, congrats, Sean Alexander won a fucking MVP, so enjoy that award.
I'm not saying you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a possibility.
There's a much more likely possibility of Anthony Gordon throwing 7 interceptions a game if Russell Wilson is unable to play.
If Russell Wilson is unable
to play, that's a more realistic possibility.
Over whether Cam Newton is there or not.
You try to put together the best team you have. Also, it's Pete Carroll. It's not like you're bringing him in to play for Jim Elmora, who's going to have to manage the locker room.
And you're so confident in Pete's ability to manage the locker room? Fuck that.
I'm confident in his ability to show trust and faith in Russell Wilson, who they made the highest paid quarterback in NFL history when he signed his contract last year. Yeah, I'm confident in that.
It's not worth the
risk. Also, they're going to run either way, so it doesn't matter.
I don't think it's worth the risk. You've made me dig in on this point now. I was neutral, and you made me dig in on this point. What do you gain by having a really good backup quarterback?
You gain security in case your starting quarterback is unable to play. What do you gain by having good players? You should just have all bad players. That way no one can be concerned.
When was the last time?
Let's have bad backups at every position. When was the last time Anthony Gordon was good by QBR?
Cam Newton is not even that good of a quarterback.
Also, Cam Newton was pretty good at the start of the 2018 season. Their offense was playing quite well. When I watched that All or Nothing, I was very into the Panthers' offense.
Okay, that's nice. Tell me statistically, tell me quantitatively how he was by QBR, not by your fucking watching All or Nothing.
He was a 55, but again, he was playing through injury at that point.
Mm-hmm. Seems to always be.
When was the last? You know what's one way for him to not be injured? If he's a backup.
This is not where I expected this conversation to go.
I mean, his 55 QBR in 2018 is better than Geno Smith posted any season of his career. Remember.
That's not the issue. No one thinks that Geno Smith should be starting.
No one thinks that Cam Newton should be starting. For the record, you want to start Russell in Cam Newton in a dual QB backfield because that would actually be kind of amazing.
I'm giving a look right now. It's just I don't think you understand how big of an issue this would be, and the most sacred.
I don't think you understand that Russell Wilson is the single most popular athlete in the history of Seattle sports.
He is not the single most popular athlete in the history of the Seahawks locker room, and never has been, never will be.
That was a different Seahawks locker room. You can't wrap your mind around the fact that team is gone. These are a bunch of young players who their only memory and understanding of the Seahawks is Russell Wilson leading them to Super Bowls.
Cam Newton is a more relevant football player to young players than Russell Wilson is. People care more about Cam Newton as an athlete.
That is a preposterous take.
You don't
they
think
maybe
so?
care about
Cam
him more as a
Newton's
fashion
zeitgeist.
icon. You don't think that Russell Wilson is, quote, in the zeitgeist?
He gets treated like a joke, though.
I don't think you're under... Do you know who Russell Wilson is? Are we talking about different people?
Do you know who Russell Wilson is?
This is the single worst take you have ever had in the history of the Peltoncast.
I'm just trying to protect Russell Wilson. That's all I care about. That's
Protect Russell Wilson by giving him a fucking good backup.
How does that protect him? Maybe you should protect Russell Wilson by drafting him a goddamn wide receiver. Like, instead of being worried about who they fucking signed as his backup, maybe you should have given him some help in this draft. And
okay, but that's not the question we're discussing. None of this is within our control, by the way.
What?
But I wanted them to do that. I wanted them to make the right decision. They just didn't do it. I also would want them to make the right decision if, hypothetically, Cam Newton were available as a backup.
Great.
You would want them to make the wrong decision.
This is fucking clown business. Who cares? Cam Newton is not necessarily available for the same number that Jameis is.
He's probably not. But if he is, obviously, you should sign him.
Okay, great. Sure. Sign Cam Newton. In this absurd hypothetical scenario, yes, sign Cam Newton.
And lastly, it wouldn't be a special episode of the Peltoncast without this sign-off.
Tristan walks the streets of LA and podcast part 2. I have a Tecate in my hand and one in the chamber. That's right, in my back pocket. And if I may,
I don't know if you might.
allow me to serenade the streets of LA. Jimmy Garoppolo, retire, bitch!
Oh, boy.
What a game!
Og's house!
You often talk...
Retire, bitch!
And I think in this moment, the last Pac-12 game that will ever be played, I think it's really important to remember this one message. Dan Lanning, retire, bitch!
We are really blowing out those speakers.
But
tonight.
no, actually, on a serious note, about, it's hard not to, Kirk Herbstreit was talking at the end of the game, seeing the Pac-12, to remember this one last message. Bo Nix, retire, bitch! We fucking own you, Oregon! We own you! Kalen DeBoer, 3-0 against Oregon. Here's your motherfucking spread. There you go. Woo! Now for a muted conversation about the Pac-12 championship game.
I don't know how much of that I can put in the podcast.
You're not putting that in there?
We'll see.
Oh, come on.
We'll see.
And the Huskies playing in the national championship game, I don't think would be possible without what Steve Sarkisian did in that year, way back in 2010. So just from the beginning, I want to acknowledge Steve Sarkisian with a Steve Sarkisian, retire, bitch!
Wow.
And that's why it brings me so little joy to have to say, Kalen DeBoer, retire, bitch! Never thought I would say it.
Never see it coming.
Never thought I would say it.
Katie is shocked to hear that if she manages to overcome her emotions and actually listen to this podcast.
What a victory that the Seahawks had over your last place San Francisco 49ers in front of the biggest Niners fan that I'd seen on the sidelines. Maybe he should extend this vacation. Nick Bosa, retire, bitch! The entire game, as it happened, the only thing that I could say about it is Sean McVay, retire, bitch! if I wanted to say that one, but I'm sorry.
I'm shocked it was Sean McVay. Okay.
One more thing that I have to say, which I feel even deeper to my core. This person left the University of Washington, right? Which already should have made me hate him. And I didn't. I didn't hate him. I felt nothing until today. When he has
yesterday, actually.
No wide receiver is safe from being the number one villain on the timeline. Every wide receiver is in play except for Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jake Bobo somehow. But Puka Nacua, retire, bitch! Woo! What a freaking win. I can empathize with Kyle Shanahan was that I just didn't know what to do about it. And playing against Mike McDonald's defense in real life is like playing on Heisman difficulty. And that's why Kyle Shanahan, retire, bitch. We'll see you in the playoffs. And that is why wash Christian McCaffrey. Here's the first of them. You can retire, bitch. Thank you. I appreciated the 11 carries for 35 yards, and they worked hard for those 11 carries for 35 yards. And then the turnovers, and I guess I have to have a second retire bitch for Brock Purdy. Retire, bitch! Because what a performance by Brock Purdy. I mean, he should have had another fumble, too. Like, there was one where it was like, I think it might have been Lawrence, who was close to stripping it out. Then they do get the strip when Purdy is running. The pick that he threw where you're watching it, and like my vantage point, I was just watching it, and I was like, I looked at all the receivers. I could see Brock Purdy look at all the receivers, and I was like, wow, you really decided to throw it to that one. And it really just straight to Ernest Jones. The other person who I think has to retire, bitch, is ESPN senior writer Kevin Pelton. Retire, bitch. Oh, wow. Because you argued that Tyler Lockett was going to be a more valuable player this year than Cooper. Wait, what's his middle name?
I don't know that this is actually what I argued, for the record.
Then one Cooper Douglas Cup. And then, secondly, Sean McVay, retire, bitch!
On that note,
Matthew Stafford, retire, bitch!
The most plausible of these ones actually coming true. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.